Someone right now is rewiring your brain without your permission, and you're thanking them for it. The scariest part about manipulation isn't that it happens. It's that your mind actively defends the person doing it to you. And by the end of this video, you'll know the one response that ethical psychologists refuse to teach because it works too well. Let me be clear up front. What I'm about to share walks a fine ethical line. The technique at the end of this video is so effective at neutralizing manipulation that using it carelessly can actually harm relationships. But here's the thing. Staying defenseless against people who weaponize psychology against you isn't noble, it's just dangerous. So let's talk about the 7 signs someone is secretly manipulating you, and then I'll share the response that stops them cold. Sign number 1. Emotional flooding. This is when someone dumps an overwhelming amount of emotion on you right before asking for something. Your coworker suddenly breaks down crying about their terrible morning, then immediately asks you to cover their shift. Your friend launches into a dramatic story about their ex, then casually mentions they need to borrow money. Here's why this works neurologically. When your brain processes intense emotion from another person, your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for logical decision-making, temporarily goes offline. You're literally less capable of rational thought for about 6 to 8 minutes after witnessing emotional intensity. Manipulators know this instinctively. They're creating a decision-making window where your guard is down. The action step here is simple but requires discipline. When someone becomes emotionally intense and then makes a request, say this exact phrase, "I need 20 minutes to think about that." Not 10 minutes, 20. That's enough time for your prefrontal cortex to fully reboot. Watch what happens. Genuine people will understand. Manipulators will get frustrated because you've just closed their window. Sign number 2. Strategic confusion. Someone explains something in a way that's unnecessarily complicated, uses contradictory statements, or keeps changing the details of a story. Your boss tells you the deadline is flexible, but then criticizes you for not meeting an exact date they never specified. Your partner says they're fine with your plans, but their tone and body language scream otherwise. Then later, they claim they told you they weren't okay with it. This isn't accidental miscommunication. Strategic confusion is designed to make you doubt your own memory and perception. When you can't trust your own mind, you become dependent on the manipulator to tell you what's real. It's psychological quicksand. The more you struggle to understand, the deeper you sink. Here's your counter move. Start documenting. Not obsessively, but consistently. After confusing conversations, send a quick follow-up text or email summarizing what you understood. Hey, just to confirm, you said, the report is due Friday, and the format doesn't matter, right? This does 2 things. It creates a record. It forces the manipulator to either commit to clarity or reveal themselves by continuing to be vague. Most will suddenly become very clear very quickly. Sign number 3. Reciprocity exploitation. Someone does unsolicited favors for you, then acts hurt or angry when you don't reciprocate in the exact way they wanted. They bring you coffee every morning for a week without you asking, then get upset when you won't stay late to help with their project. They give you an expensive gift, then expect you to drastically change your plans to accommodate them. The psychology here taps into a deep social instinct. Humans are hardwired for reciprocity. When someone gives us something, we feel an almost physical discomfort until we give something back. It's how societies function. But manipulators weaponize this by creating debts you never agreed to. Here's the key distinction. Genuine generosity comes with no strings attached. Manipulation disguised as generosity comes with invisible price tags that are revealed later. Your response is to clearly acknowledge the gesture, but explicitly not accept the implicit debt. That's kind of you, but you didn't need to do that. Or, I appreciate the thought, but I can't accept this. It feels uncomfortable because you're taught that refusing gifts is rude. But accepting manipulative gifts is far more costly. Sign number 4. Isolation language. Pay attention when someone consistently uses phrases that separate you from other people in your life. Nobody understands you like I do. Your family just doesn't get it. Your other friends are probably jealous. This is boundary erosion disguised as special connection. Manipulators need you isolated because external perspectives are their biggest threat. When you have multiple trusted people in your life, manipulation becomes much harder to maintain. Someone from the outside can say, "Wait, that doesn't sound right," and the spell breaks. The manipulator's goal is to position themselves as your only reliable source of reality. Counter this by doing the opposite of what feels natural. When someone tries to isolate you, immediately increase contact with the people they're trying to separate you from. Tell those people what's happening. Manipulation dies in sunlight. Sign number 5. Selective amnesia. The person has perfect memory for things you did wrong, but complete forgetfulness about their own mistakes or promises. You forgot to text them back once 3 months ago, and they still bring it up. They promised to help you move and bailed last minute, but when you mention it, they have no recollection or they reframe it as something you misunderstood. This creates an unbalanced ledger, where you're always in debt and they're always owed. The psychological impact is that you start to believe you're the problem, that you're the unreliable one, that you're lucky they tolerate you. Your brain starts keeping score in a game that's rigged. Here's what you do. The next time they bring up something you did wrong, immediately and calmly bring up something they did. Not as a weapon, but as a test. You're right, I did forget that. Kind of like when you canceled our plans last month. We both mess up sometimes, right? Watch the reaction. Genuine people will agree and move forward. Manipulators will deflect, minimize their mistake, or get angry that you dared to compare. Sign number 6. Moving the goalposts. You meet their expectation, and they immediately change what success looks like. You finally start calling them more often like they asked, and now they're upset about the timing of your calls. You agree to their terms, and suddenly, the terms aren't enough. This keeps you in a permanent state of trying to please them, which is exactly where they want you. The mechanism here is that your brain releases dopamine when you successfully meet a goal. Manipulators exploit this by ensuring you never quite reach the goal, keeping you hooked in a cycle of almost succeeding. Break this by naming the pattern directly. I notice that when I do what you ask, the request changes. I'm willing to work with you, but I need the target to stay still. Most manipulators have never been called out this directly and won't know how to respond. Sign number 7, and this is the subtle one. Manufactured urgency. Every request is framed as time-sensitive. Every decision needs to happen now. I need to know right now if you're coming. The offer is only good if you decide today. If you really cared, you'd do this immediately. Urgency is a decision-making hack that bypasses your normal evaluation process. When you feel rushed, you stop weighing options carefully. You just react. This is why sales tactics use limited time offers. Counter it with radical calm. If it needs to be decided this second, then my answer is no. If you can give me time to consider it properly, my answer might be different. The illegal response. Now here's the response I promised you, the one that borders on unethical because it's so effective. It's called forced transparency. When you suspect manipulation, you describe exactly what you think is happening in real time out loud to the person doing it, not as an accusation, but as an observation. I notice you're sharing something very emotional right before asking me for something. That makes me think you might be trying to influence my decision. Is that what's happening? This technique is devastating because manipulation only works in the shadows. The moment you shine light on the mechanism, it stops working. The manipulator has 2 choices: admit what they're doing or stop doing it. Either way, you win. Here's what to do right now. Pick one person in your life where something feels off. You can't quite name it, but interactions leave you feeling drained or confused. Review these 7 signs and identify which one shows up most. Then practice just one counter technique. That's it. Manipulation thrives when you're unaware. Awareness alone changes everything. If this helps you see something you needed to see, subscribe, because we go deeper into psychology that actually protects you every single week. You're not crazy for feeling like something's wrong. You're finally paying attention.